Hello and welcome to another CineQuest video podcast. Today we are going to be talking about some of the scariest movies known to man.
Yeah.
The Exorcist and Exorcist 3.
Hooray.
So The Exorcist, basically considered one of the scariest movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Roland, when was the first time you saw The Exorcist?
I'm almost certain it was when I was a kid and I had basic bitch cable, you know, like I want to say it was like on TNT or something kind of thing, and I didn't even know what I was watching at the time. I was like, "What's this?" And then I saw the whole, the tongue.
Oh, so you saw like the edited version of it?
Yeah.
Got it.
I never. My family would not rent anything like that, which is very funny because apparently, like the last time you were here, I was asking my mom about it, and she was telling me that she took my sisters to watch that shit in theaters back in the fucking 70s.
But she wanted to protect you guys.
Right, yeah. I was like, what? One of my sisters was like 2.
Your sisters had to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
Emotionally speaking.
And she never watched it again and never went back, none of that. And it was too scary. I was like,
right.
I mean, okay.
Well, I'm pretty sure I think I've mentioned this story in a previous podcast before, but I did watch this when I was in 5th grade. I had to beg my parents to let me watch it because by this point, by 5th grade, I think it was like in 3rd grade that I saw Exorcist 3 on Cinemax late one Saturday morning, right? Which has that terrifying scene that I mean, as a kid, it would freak me out. And apparently it freaked a lot of kids out when they were younger too, because it's known as one of the scariest scenes of all time. My aunt and my cousins and other aunts and uncles, it was like a family thing. We tend to watch like it as a family because they would show it on TV every year, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was one they would show after that Sometimes They Come Back, which is another Stephen King movie. We would all watch those together. So much so that as a family, we always say like, "Run, Jimmy, run," and that's a portion of the fucking Sometimes They Come Back, you know. It's a thing, you know.
Yeah.
But this is one of the ones that they were gonna watch.
Jimmy.
This Exorcist was one of the ones that they were gonna watch. And I remember my aunt driving me to my house, and we had to kind of say, "Hey, like, they're gonna watch The Exorcist, and I want to see it." And then my mom freaks out because she has this whole backstory with The Exorcist. She happened to see it on TV one night back in the, I guess, late 70s or something.
Yeah.
And she was like one of the only ones still living with my grandmother at the time. And my grandfather had moved out. They had like divorced or separated or something. So it was just her, my mom, and my grandmother.
Yeah.
And in this house, which is the same house I actually saw Exorcist 3 in, she saw it one night. It freaked her the fuck out. And later on that night, there was allegedly, according to her, something ringing the doorbell all night, the same night. So she has that traumatic experience because she's freaked out. She said she was like huddled in the corner, like sweating profusely, thinking that there's a demon outside, Pazuzu probably, ringing the doorbell. And then apparently it stopped at some point throughout the night. And the guy who came to check it said there was like some kind of malfunction with the doorknob. It just so happened to be
that night
that she saw The Exorcist.
Coincidence?
Yeah, coincidence? I think not. Pazuzu was lurking about. But me seeing it in 5th grade, my parents did make me cover my eyes during certain points, and with good reason. I mean, there's some scenes in here that are pretty graphic. And she says a lot of shit, you know, which does. I didn't actually see the movie again until they re-released it in theaters the first time, where they added that fucking crawl scene.
Yeah.
And I saw it with one of my friends. We went to the Harlingen Theater, like, which ended up being the Dollar Theater, like later on. There was 4 people in the theater. I remember this vividly. It was me, my friend. We're sitting in the back row. Yeah. There was a guy closer off to the left, and another guy off to the right.
All right.
Somewhere in the middle, but we could kind of see him with the light shining on him. Okay. Like, with a smile on his face the whole time, just like aggressively eating his popcorn while he's watching the movie. I didn't have anything at the time. We didn't have any like drinks or anything. We just wanted to go and see the movie. And it was shocking to see some of the shit for the first time because, I mean, I've never expected to see either a child do these things or say these things. Yeah. The crucifix masturbation scene is the scene we're talking about here. But yeah, so I've had that's my past with The Exorcist, and of course watching it again. I've seen it off and on here and there. I've tried to watch it at my house whenever my mother was around, and she just hears that fucking intro.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What are you watching? Turn it off! Turn it off! Turn it off!"
Yanks the cord.
She was like, I'm gonna watch, even if I'm watching something talking about The Exorcist. She's like, no, you watch that shit somewhere else.
Not in this house.
Not in this fucking house, you won't. I mean, it doesn't help that I do watch and for entertainment purposes, I watch a lot of those Nuke Top 5s or those Project Dark Knight horror shits where they just ghostly videos after ghost video and stuff like that. And then I watch them. I always watch them like at 11 o'clock at night in the living room, like full blast.
Oh.
And of course, that leads to like people getting scared and all this other kind of shit. But it helps me sleep. Like it's very calming to me.
Yeah, sure. Me too.
As most like horror movies are for some people. Like I do like just watching them and just passing out and stuff like that.
I put on some Ghost Adventures and fall asleep.
Well, that's just funny. That's not scary like at all.
It's not.
Although I do remember that one time waking up. I told you when we were watching that, or you were watching it here. I was watching it at my house. The Joe Bob. I forgot what it was, but they were watching. It was a necromantic.
Oh
like
yeah.
And I woke up to like the girl fucking the dead bodies. That was weird. That was strange.
I remember because I was bored. I was like, "What is this? This is interesting." But god damn it, something happens, and then they get to the corpse fucking and all.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's necrophilia. You know, that's.
And
all
then
it's about.
I was texting you about it, and then you told me the next day, like, "Yeah, I fell asleep." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's why you fucking stopped responding."
And then I just woke up and I looked at the TV and like fucking I just see like, and I was like, "The fuck is this?"
Yeah,
I forgot what that was the movie that they were watching.
When you stopped messaging me, I think I watched it for like another 30 minutes, and then I was like, "Yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
This is boring. I don't want to go to sleep yet."
But this is one of the ones that I really can't fall asleep to.
No.
It kind of like I'm a big fan of like and I'm pretty sure you are as well.
The way it's shot, the way
no, not even like the movie itself. It's the music.
Oh, absolutely.
The music probably freaks me out more than the actual movie itself.
I really do like the fucking theme music for this.
And it's very subtle. It's not over in your face. No. And that's one of the great things.
Just gives it like this real fucking like just iconic haunting melody or whatever. It just
it's like watching Unsolved Mysteries and you watch that theme song too.
Yeah.
That freaks me out too. I mean, even Robert Stack in his very monotone way of talking, he's very serious about the ghosts, especially those ghost episodes or the UFO episodes of Unsolved Mysteries, freak me out. And I mean, they're not scary, but like
I loved watching those.
But I love watching them too. But I can't fall asleep watching them because I feel like I'm gonna go into some kind of dream state, where I'm being in one of those recreations and shit.
Yeah,
those reenactments that are terrible. You know, but those are pretty scary reenactments, personally speaking. I mean, they still stand the test of time, even with all the shitty effects and all that kind of stuff. But the music itself does not lend itself to me falling asleep peacefully. It does make me a little uncomfortable, but the movie itself does not. No. It is shot really well. It is a slow burn.
Yes.
It doesn't rush the possession, and that's one of the things that's great about this movie is that it kind of like set the standard for possession films, which a lot of them are now at this point still trying to recreate. And that is unfortunate because they're trying to just take this formula, but not the slow burn part of it, just the exorcism part, because that's the part everyone remembers.
Right.
And they want to get the kid who's possessed, because every kid gets possessed,
right,
to say some wild ass shit and to probably, mind you, they will not get a kid now to fuck themselves with a crucifix.
No.
They won't do that now. No. You know, that's a little too weird.
Maybe they'll shit themselves.
Maybe they will. You know, maybe one day we'll get that Michelle Remembers movie where she shits on a Bible.
Yeah.
You know, and her mom who's getting head like decapitates the person or some shit like that. Something like that happens in the book. Maybe one day we'll get that.
Yeah, maybe.
But right now we're just getting
Shudder exclusive.
We're getting sci-fi versions of what like this movie is.
Yeah.
This movie has stood the test of time.
Yes.
It was directed by William Friedkin and written by William Peter Blatty, who actually wrote the book, The Exorcist, which I have not read.
I read it. It's just been such a long time. Holy shit.
This movie had a $12 million budget. I'm not sure what that would be like now, but it made $441.3 million.
And probably rise and counting.
And it's still like, so it's a movie that people still get scared about.
Exorcist Steelbook?
One day I'll get it. I'll have to hide it when I bring it in.
Right? Your mom is just, your family is going to be like, what's that? I sense something. What's this entered this house?
Well, I told you whenever we did that Ouija board thing.
Yeah.
And like I had to like, I went to Daniel's to take it. I didn't want to leave it at Daniel's place, you know?
Yeah.
So I took it home, and when I brought it into the house, I had to kind of like, I had
like hide it under your shirt.
You know, we had like the green screen and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we had all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I wrapped it in that and then walked into the house with it and just waited to a point in time to put it in my closet. And I would never tell my family or my mother that is lingering in the house somewhere, because then it's going to validate all the shadows she sees apparently in the house. So I just want to leave that alone and not say anything.
Sorry, it's the CO2 levels or whatever. You got a gas leak in your house.
Well, I mean, again, there's a history with this film. There's a history with Ouija boards with my family and stuff. So like anything like that they see is traumatizing in some way. And
they give power to it.
Well, I mean, if you ever check out our Valley Strange episode where we did the Ouija board session, I do mention that point where my mother and my aunt were asking the Ouija board questions and shit with a friend who had like one of their daughters in a trance and shit like that. Allegedly. I saw it with my own eyes, but I mean, realistic, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But that it said that they were whatever they were speaking to allegedly said that they were gonna quote unquote play with all the children, you know? And I think it's just me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I made a joke as a kid whenever they said this and the Ouija board was on the table. Yeah. And I go, what is it going to do? Come in and get me? And I said that. And they were like, don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. You're freaking out, kid. And then, you know what? I'm the fucked up one. So, I mean, like, I guess, like, I, like, watch all this shit, you know. I'm making podcasts like a loser.
It worked. Right? He is possessed. Just like every content creator. Yeah.
Possessed with like loserisms or some shit.
Right. By the demon of suck ass. You bitch. The bitch demon.
But anyways, that's my history with The Exorcist.
So Reagan is 12 in this movie.
Well, she's supposed to be 12 years old.
She's not.
I think she was like 14 whenever she made this movie. Or Linda Blair. Speaking. This movie has a lot of classic scenes in it, and I mean, there's been a lot of parodies of this film.
Oh man,
you know, which we'll get to in just a minute. Basically, in The Exorcist, we have an actress, Chris McNeil, who has a daughter, Reagan, and Chris McNeil's an actress, like I said, and her daughter plays with the Ouija board.
Right.
Have you seen any of the Conjuring movies? I think part 2 is where they did that as well, and that caused a lot of shit. But she's talking to someone named Captain Howdy, and basically it's a slow, gradual progression. Like one thing leads to another. Like she gets kind of in a trance. She tells someone that they're gonna die. She takes a pee, and then she ends up going to the doctor. She has like things are going on with her brain. Yeah. She says like, oh, her bed's moving. Those are all those very subtle little things that lead up to the point where it's like a big possession where she's all cut up. She looks all, the makeup's all over her. She says shit like, your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Right. She starts doing the crab walks.
She does do the crab walks. Her head spins.
Right.
She spits up the pea soup at the priest.
Does the Beetlejuice. You know. Yeah, she spits up the pea soup at the priest. She's got the Gene Simmons tongue.
Yeah, she's doing that shit too.
Which I saw that and I was like, oh, it just made me think of Scary Movie. The fucking scene with James Woods when they're just like, like, oh, come on.
And I think I'm not too familiar with I think it's Repossessed. I think Linda Blair actually reprises her role as the possessed person, and it's like Leslie Nielsen, who's a priest.
Oh God! Really?
I haven't seen that one, but like
I want to see that.
Repossessed.
Leslie fucking Nielsen.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had a question that I was just it's something I thought about. whenever in this movie, whenever they sort of show scenes of Reagan's character doing all the fucked up stuff, does it feel to you like it's like a sort of casual, just like there'll be the parent, you will have a scene where the parents are, you know, the mom's talking with the priest or something, and then it just sort of like, you know, instant break, and it cuts to Reagan doing her thing. Does it feel to you like when you see that it's like all of a sudden she's the center of attention, or does it feel like more of a casual, like, oh yeah, you know, this is happening in the background as the family?
No, it's center of attention.
It's center of attention. Yeah. I don't know why, but when I watched it, like I got a sense that like it was like a casual thing or whatever, because like when she does her crab walk, you just sort of see her do that, and then it just goes like back to the mom talking or some other shit.
Well, yeah,
right?
because
you know?
I mean,
like as opposed to just like, okay, what is she doing now? Like, no, she's just like by herself, and like nobody's really watching her.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that I feel like there's like a healthy balance in this film whenever it comes to like them focusing on Reagan's possession and like the mother and the priest and all the story, because even the priest has a traumatic thing going on with him,
right?
Because I mean, his
both
mother,
of them, right?
Well, I mean, the other priest comes in, Father.
I forget his name. Yeah,
Father Marin. Then we have.
Well, he's got his Karen thing that, you know, like where he's studying those artifacts and whatever.
Right.
And so
in like
that's his,
Iran or something.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where he gets that little head of Pazuzu in the very beginning of the film, which that is like they focused on that in the beginning and the beginning films.
Yes. And No. I no. That explains it. Yes, the way. So I didn't get that sense of balance watching the newer Exorcist movie. Like to me, it was just like they just anything that was, you know, center of the screen or whatever, that was the focus. Like, and it just I don't know. Like to me, the focus was just spread out too thinly.
Right.
Like it didn't feel balanced at all. Like I really wasn't interested in anything other than the fucking kids. In this one, I'm more interested to see like how the characters interact and all that, and it's shot completely differently to me, and like I can appreciate that.
Right, because I mean you're dealing with a single mother's like in the 70s, and her lack of faith that she has at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so like she doesn't know what to do with her daughter, who's like pretty much. Like this is something that's never been like,
the doctors are like,
yeah, they can't do anything.
We're fucked.
So she feels like there's no hope, you know, and then she doesn't even like want to buy into this like Catholicism possession thing.
Right.
But then she just kind of like, she has no other choice. She has to like give in and let them come in. But the good backstories that they have with the priest, like Father Marin, he's having an issue with his mother. Like he kind of wants her to die, right? Because like she's kind of a burden in a way. And then she ends up dying in the film. And that's when like Reagan's like, oh, your mother's in hell and your mother sucks cocks in hell, all this kind of shit. and I mean, even to the point where like her voice changes and he's like talking to him.
She sounds like a 70-year-old school bus driver, smokes cigars every day.
It's so traumatic for him that he's like, he starts beating the shit out of her. Like he starts losing it, you know?
Right.
Like it's the demon in this movie really knows how to like get at the person who's there trying to exorcise him. In the other films, like Believer, I think the one thing the girl says is that like you never wanted me.
Yeah, something like that.
Because like he had the choice to save the mother.
Right. Yeah, daughter, and that's kind of like a little twist they throw in there, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, like here, like the demon is really like egging them on because the demon wants them to pretty much kill the girl. Right. You know, or like at least do
because
something
that's how
bad.
they'll lose. Like you know, the whole point is that the girl dies.
Yeah. And that's basically the end result, or the end result that the demon wants is the girl to actually die. Right. And again, I don't know demon lore necessarily. Is it Pazuzu and what exactly their motives are?
I don't recall. It's been a long time since I've read any of that silliness.
Because I mean, like each demon has like a certain type of motive, right? And their cause for doing certain things. And as far as Pazuzu, I mean, he could be just like a trickster, or
let's see.
Because they always like emphasize that maybe it's like also like the devil and stuff like that, right? But it's never the devil, the real devil. It's a devil, a demon. So what does Pazuzu do in this personification of southwestern wind and held kingship over the Lilu wind demons? What is an apotropic entity? What does that mean? Considered as both a destructive and dangerous wind, but also a repellent to other demons. if it's saying like it's a dangerous wind, like it kind of just comes through and wants to cause like chaos.
So what I was trying to remember is like I remember reading about it and finding that the demoness that's in the new movie Lamashtu is either his like rival or like one of his like wives or something like that. That's kind of what I was trying to remember, and I guess that would be where it sort of ties in,
Right.
even though they don't explain that. Watching it. Yeah, pretty much it's just a demon that haunts homes and or a wandering wind.
Yeah, he kind of just blows through, causes some chaos, and just goes on to the next thing.
Something
And I mean
like
that can make sense with I guess the Reagan getting possessed thing, because I mean there's no real like end game other than death and destruction. So I mean I guess that does make sense.
Yep. I mean they don't really give a shit.
No, they're just
not.
Yeah.
They're just around. I mean it's like a fart in the in an elevator. It just lingers. Evil. Anyways, yeah. No, I hadn't seen this movie in such a long time. It's actually very enjoyable. Just for what it is. I mean,
This seems like a movie that you would have to watch with people. And like, I mean, I can't really see it as a movie like, man, I'm gonna put on The Exorcist and just watch it
I
at
mean,
night
like to me, it's
by
a lot.
myself.
It's a lot more casual. Like I don't know. I like when we were watching it, I was just like, yeah, it's cool, it's on. Or, it wasn't really like, all right, focus. I need to see what what side of the cross is she using? Wait,
What's the director trying to say with the right hand as opposed to the left hand?
right. It's left-handed. Those left-handed devils.
Why did the head spin counterclockwise as opposed to clockwise?
Right. If she was in Australia, maybe it would have gone the other direction, like with the toilets.
Or why was the projectile vomit green as opposed to like blue or red? Or
Right.
something,
Yeah.
You know that, like, I'm pretty sure that
These are important questions.
got people like never wanted to eat pea soup again because of this vomit shit.
I love pea soup.
It's good.
It's delicious.
It's good stuff.
Right? We watch it and all of a sudden we're like, "Are you hungry?"
Yeah, I am hungry right now.
Man,
Like,
this is weird.
you go nice over some chicken. One of the things I did want to talk about was like the production of this movie. I know a lot of things happened. People have made the assumption that this film was cursed. And there's actually a whole thing I think on Shudder.
Yeah.
Is like cursed films.
I like those.
And this is one of them.
Yeah, I remember.
But when I saw this episode, I felt that they were kind of just grasping at straws, kind of just like to make it seem like it was cursed because it's an Exorcist movie.
Yeah.
It should be cursed because I know one of the cursed movies they talk about like Wizard of Oz. That was cursed. Poltergeist was cursed because like the older daughter was killed after filming, and then Lorianne, the little girl, she ended up dying after the third one.
The one I heard about later was that the one the guy did for the Call of Cthulhu or something. The director ended up like moving to Mexico or something because he got bankrupted. I forget what. They had like all this kinds of shit happen. There was where they filmed. Basically, that town was like the analog for fucking Innsmouth or whatever.
I had no idea.
Shit. Yeah.
Well, I would say like regarding this movie, like I think one of the things that they said was cursed was. I mean, I know Linda Blair injured herself. Like she has like a lifelong injury because in the scene whenever she's slamming back and forth and stuff like
she
that.
Fuck up her neck or something, or
I think it was her neck or her back.
Yeah,
like she fucked up her back.
Yeah,
or something.
I was watching that and just like that's what I was thinking. Like
that hurt. Yeah,
my spine.
And I think the mom also got injured as well. Whenever the scene where the drawer comes at her.
Yeah,
she's like on the ground.
Yeah,
like she gets thrown and then the drawer just comes at her. I think it fell on her or something, and I think she got injured that way.
Shitty.
But I mean, those are just lack of care, or like in the 70s. I mean, they're kind of like, doing a lot of these things like for the first time,
or like the insurance hadn't like gotten wise and started suing them.
But yeah, so I mean, that's one of the things that did happen in this movie as far as the production is concerned. So like, I think that's why a lot of times people think it was cursed, or like. Someone in the crew ended up dying or something.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say,
but like they died 50 years after making this film.
It's a curse.
It's a curse of the Exorcist movie.
I expect that things like that would come from, I don't know, the cast gossiping or whatever. And I just sort of figured that, things like that the production would support. Because, I mean, it would just get more hype going.
Well, let me
think.
I mean, that could be just fan speculation too, that kind of like it just starts to build and build and build. And before you know it, that's like the lore. I mean, just like the Wizard of Oz, they always say like, oh, that scene wherever you see like one of the little people, like they hung themselves in the back and they're swinging.
Oh, jeez.
But it's supposed to be like a bird or something.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, you see it, like the thing's hanging, he's hanging, he's swinging while they're filming, and they didn't even cut it out or nothing. Like that's the kind of shit that builds up over time because people just make speculations. I mean, I don't know how. I haven't gone back to check this about like the penises in like Little Mermaid.
Nope.
People say that.
I'll take your word for it, buddy.
The artist drew like penises as the castle. Like there's a huge fucking erect dick in there. But again, those are like all the lore that comes from like people.
Itty bitty balls, though.
You, as a fan or as a film watcher, people can speculate and just like see what they want to see whenever it comes to like these.
I mean, like leave it open for interpretation. Fuck yeah. I don't know. Don't need to be. I don't know. I approve of shit like that because I just think it looks good for the film itself. I mean, as far as like people dying or any of that shit, yeah, that sucks. But if that actually happened, I couldn't say. Like I don't know.
Right. I don't know for sure, but I mean, we could look that up. But are we going to?
Oh, really? Like if it's there, somebody wants to tell us. Hey, sure, that's cool too. There's a whole section. There's a whole paragraph here for the head spinning.
Yeah.
Oh man. Who cares? This is funny. They call it the crucifix scene.
Well, yeah, we call it that too, and you don't even have to like read any of this shit. You already know. Like, this is also funny though. Regarding that crucifix scene, this is something I did read earlier that I did want to bring up. Can you bring that up a little bit more?
What's up?
Go down.
Oh,
Sorry.
I see.
All right, stop right there.
What up?
Okay, so like, there's a scene when they apparently during before like they actually shot the scene.
Pre-production.
Okay. This is what they were talking about regarding this scene, and I'm just gonna read it verbatim from Wikipedia. So I mean, I'm no journalist or film journalist here. Like this is just me verbatim. So crucifix scene, it says, while filming the scene where the possessed Reagan masturbates with a crucifix, Dietz and Friedkin had this long discussion about the right way to jerk off and showed him why a woman has to turn her wrist more than a man does. It doesn't say turn. It says churn.
Like you're churning butter.
Yeah.
So he's mansplaining masturbation to a girl.
Says at the time, Friedkin said that the scene's power over the audiences came from its unusual combination of sex and religion. Obviously, she's using a crucifix. And to many viewers, it lasted much longer than its 50 seconds.
50? Wait, what? It was 50 seconds?
Well, I mean, it's not a long shot on her. It's just the scene itself.
I remember when we see it, it was like I'm like,
well, like it happened, but like they're in the scene for a while she's doing it, but they're not actually showing her doing it.
Right on. Yeah.
Like
I got you.
Face on,
They're in the shot.
They're
not in the shot. It's in the same scene.
Yeah, it's just in the scene where she's like they have a back shot and she's like doing this. Yeah. But I know they do get a shot where she's like fucking slamming it in. It says this, okay, regarding the scene's power, it says Blatty pleaded with Friedkin to stop destroying the film. Oh, hold on. No, sorry. It says the scene's power, Kermode writes, comes with Friedkin's head-on approach, centering it on a brightly lit screen.
Was it that brightly lit?
It was like in the daytime. Right. Punctuating the thrust with a stabbing sound. Blatty pleaded with Friedkin to stop destroying the film. Friedkin responded that the scene would be one of the film's biggest draws. When it turned out it was, Blatty found it terribly depressing.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually one of the iconic fucking hilarious moments in this movie. And it's quick. You're not like, I remember again, we were watching it and it just kind of like, I think you looked away. You were farting around on your phone for a second. I was like,
I've seen it before. I mean, do I really need to be like, hold on? Like we said, why, what is the director saying?
Wait, guys.
Fucking right hand. You go, is she churning the crucifix proper? You know, like, right. Is she churning the crucifix proper?
Counterclockwise?
They go, as a man, when you jerk off, yeah.
It's all in the wrist, baby.
Anywho,
It's all about the turning. Wow, I can't believe they said that. It's so funny. So fucking
the proper way to jerk off.
dude. Like, just give me my action, give me my inspiration. All right, you're turning.
You're turning that crucifix
with your right hand.
This is the proper way to do it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Not up and down. No. It's around and around. Like, all right.
And again, when it comes to like that, we mentioned the spider walk scene. Like that isn't in the theatrical version.
No.
That actually came out after the fact when they actually re-released it.
And I remember that more. I remember that more than any other scene.
But that happens even faster than anything else.
It does. Like she just like glides almost.
Yeah.
Down
Well,
the stairs.
it's a very, you could tell like it's really like a sped up film. You know, like
yes, a little bit.
Someone she just comes down and then.
Yeah, it was just funny. I saw that. I was like, ah.
But I think those are the kinds of things that people take away, especially filmmakers now. Like those kinds of like
the shock
crawling
value.
on the walls, like she's crawling on her like backwards and shit.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to shock the audience, and it's been overdone already too much. And it's probably good that they didn't keep it in originally, and as just like a deleted scene. But again, that's the kind of like being used up a little bit more than it should have. You know?
Oh yeah. I mean, this basically everything in this movie has become like a horror trope that's just overused. From possession itself to the fucking demons to all the cheeseball stuff they do with the crosses, the vomiting, the tongue, all of that shit. I mean, they parodied the fuck out of it.
Right.
You know, like it's just.
As we were talking about like
really,
production and like accidents, this is the part I just wanted to make sure if there were any more. So we did talk about said injuries to the cast also affected production. Burstyn and Blair have lasting consequences from back injuries. Remember I said that?
Yeah.
Burstyn's occurred during the scene where the possessed Reagan throws Chris backwards, and the take used it in the film and left her unable to film for 2 weeks on crutches for the rest of the shoot. They flung her ass. Yeah, the fractured coccyx, sorry.
Yeah.
And it caused her to have chronic problems. It's right here. Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's the bone connects your. Oh wait, no. That's actually it's that the. I was thinking of a different one.
Oh, it's the back. It's the waist.
It's in the
near the butt bone, no, the tailbone.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And I was like, why do I know that one? No, it's not the. It's even fucking worse.
Yeah. Oh, and well, look at this one. This is the one I was talking about. Linda Blair. She fractured her lower spine after being too loosely strapped to the rocking bed whenever she's doing that whole thing. And
damn.
She develops scoliosis and long-term health effects, as well as a lifelong aversion to cold.
That's chronic
from
pain.
all her time in the refrigerated bedroom set, wearing only a nightgown and long underwear.
Damn.
And a carpenter cut his thumb off, and a lighting technician lost a toe in different accents. Hence the curse things. This is just like people being negligent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they consider The Crow a cursed film also, but I mean, it's because some asshole was negligent with a gun.
Yep.
And he shot Brendan Lee.
Fucked it up. It was a malfunction,
Everything, like all these types of things could have been prevented.
Right.
If there had been just a little bit more care in like these special effects, But when you're kind of like on a budget and you got to go.
Yep.
This is the kind of shit that happens.
They rush around and somebody fucks up.
But yeah, so let's see what else here.
I mean, it's just stuff talking about how all of these bad things are happening in the movie. And, Blair's grandfather passed away during the first week of production. One of the other characters had to return to Sweden after their first day of shooting when their brother died. One of Miller's sons nearly passed away or died when in a motorcycle accident, that kind of thing. Oh, shit. Several years after the film's release, the technician in the angiography scene was convicted of murdering someone.
A cursed film, people.
Yeah. Right, it's got nothing to do with...
and according to this little write-up in Wikipedia, Friedkin, the director, I believe there might have been some supernatural interference. He goes, I'm not a convert to the occult, he told a horror film magazine, Castle of Frankenstein. But after all I've seen on this film, I definitely believe in demonic possession. We are plagued by strange and sinister things from the beginning. And again...
Okay, buddy.
There's always an explanation for this, and a lot of it has to do with negligence and just not...
I'd say 9 times out of 10.
10.
9 times out of fucking 10, it's somebody that wasn't doing their damn job,
or didn't know what they were doing initially and just did it,
or just this is a fucking accident, you know.
You know what? Like the cursed films, even like they bring up the Twilight. I'm sorry, the Twilight Zone film. Whenever the guy and the two kids got decapitated from the falling helicopter, that's cursed.
Yes,
but that's also someone's stupidity because they're doing a shot that they probably shouldn't have been doing. And again, rushing things and not doing their due diligence.
right.
2 kids and a fucking actor got decapitated from a fucking helicopter fucking propeller, you know?
Dude, that's like one of my I think one of my like childhood sort of like terrors. The fucking propellers in a helicopter, you know, like you just walk under there and do a little hop and you know. The other one is you've seen these before, like in the fucking lumberjack mills where they have the giant saw blade, and they push a log through it. That's another one for me. I would always picture just going right into that saw, wishbone.
I mean I always think like in certain films like someone had to always getting hurt somehow, you know. That's why they have insurance and stuff like that.
Right.
But William Blatty, the guy that
they can't make any big production movies without insurance anymore.
Right, because someone's gonna can get fucking hurt.
Yeah.
I think the only one who's never cursed is Tom Cruise doing all these fucking scenes.
Yeah.
And he's not dead. He's gotten hurt.
Jesus Christ.
He's gotten hurt. Jackie Chan's gotten hurt a lot. Oh,
man. Yes.
Those aren't cursed movies, you know?
No. Those are real goddamn injuries that, unfortunate as they are, but like in Jackie Chan's case, that's a consequence of like literally being an action star, you know, like Tom Cruise is just batshit. So
well,
he wants to fucking do that, knowing he's not.
Blatty, the guy that did write the film, said that freaking started the whole curse story with an interview during production.
Told you.
And he blamed devils for the film. I mean, that's good promotion.
It is.
It's good promotion.
Yes, it is.
And it says, Blatty, according to this wiki little write-up, said, if you shoot something for a year, people are going to get hurt.
Right.
People are going to die.
Unfortunately.
And Linda Blair told Kermode that stories of the supposed curse circulated because viewers chose to see a scary film and maybe they wanted to believe all those rumors because it helped the whole process, she says. And in 2000, Blatty joked that there is no exorcist cursed. I am the exorcist curse when asked if the death of Blair's pet mouse was related to it. Wild stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, those are the kinds of things that, and I attribute this kind of stuff like to my mother and like attributing these kinds of things because she saw the movie. Right. It just so happened these coincidental things that the demon's gonna take time, or some kind of ghostly apparition or entity is gonna take time to just ring the fucking doorbell all night just to fucking.
And I wouldn't even. I don't know. Like I'd get tired
now,
after.
Let me say this: if there was someone knocking at the door, that might freak you out
a little bit. Yeah.
That would freak me out, especially like at 3 a.m. Someone's knocking the crazy at your door.
I'd be either freaked out or annoyed. I've had moments like that where, you know, someone would come to the door in the middle of the night, you know, very rarely, and I'm just like, what in the fuck, you know? Like more often than not, it was.
See, this is why, like in those kinds of scenarios, that if someone's like knocking at your door midnight or something. Like, hey, can I borrow your phone? Right. Fuck. First of all, fuck no. Secondly,
it's 2 a.m.
These are the kinds of things where I want like speakers outside to just automatically drop Slayer's Rain in Blood. Just fucking blast it. Scare the person out there.
Yeah,
like, they might freak them out.
Yeah.
I mean, they go like, let me in, and just fucking push play. And just like, and you just hear screams from inside.
And I just like curl up a little closer into my, get my sleeping bag and just wrap myself. Oh.
That would
nice and cozy.
I think that would freak out people outside if they're trying to be quiet, you know, maybe just fucking lights and blasting it. Red lights, fucking blast the fucking music. Be fucking crazy cool. You need to set that up whenever I have my own place. There's a lot of rumors that go around with movies like this, you know. I think one of the things that is effective about this movie is the lack of, I guess, blaring music that goes along with it. Yeah. Very subtle.
It's not loud, which I'm very grateful for. God damn it.
I think the only time there's like a surge in sound is whenever she's doing the spider walk. And it just goes, like that's like the only time. Everything else is just the
I get
the actual
tired.
actors and actresses like actually saying their lines or screaming or something.
Yeah.
But there's no actual noise behind you to kind of like really make you jump. It's all with the performances.
Yeah, I now I was thinking about it. When we went to go check out Exorcist Believer, I did think it was pretty fucking loud.
It was.
Like, it was very loud, and I was like, come on,
But
you're
see,
not
that's
going to
the thing.
scare me with the noise, dude.
That's the thing is that I think that's what a lot of movies do nowadays. They use too much
It's
noise
too much
just to
bullshit.
make you jump.
Yeah.
Right? Without actual any substance.
Right.
It's just noise.
Like, ooh, what was that noise?
And
it's the sound of you shitting yourself.
They tend to do that a lot.
Sissy.
With a lot of the later Conjuring films or Insidious movies. They use like that.
It's almost like a gag.
That violin screech.
Oh, man.
Which was cool, but it's overused. Yeah. You know, and you're already waiting for that. Again, there's a beat to all these.
Did we hear any bass drops? I forgot. Like, I thought I made
movie?
No. In the
Believer?
Yeah. Like, I could have sworn I made a joke because I was like a pew. I'm like, what?
Probably.
What the fuck was that? Auto-tune? No.
I don't really remember like too much details as far as the sound is concerned. Sound design.
I don't either. I just mostly remember that I didn't care for it. But in this movie, it was intentional. Like, it's very. I mean, not in that it's loud or anything. Like, again, like you mentioned, it's a more subtle, sort of backup to the scene.
But I mean, again, it's not overpowering.
No,
and it just does it more effectively.
Yes. And I like that a lot more.
I do like, but I think it's also kind of cheesy in this movie to get a little bit of scare. Again, but not using too much sound, but the imagery whenever they flash the face of Pazuzu in there, like it's just like
yeah, he just looks like a goth clown.
Well, they do kind of. I know in the original they didn't do this, but in the re-release they kind of I guess I want to say superimpose sort of or like kind of fade in Pazuzu's face whenever Reagan's looking up at the person whenever she has her hand up like this.
Yes.
And
you can see it in the background.
They faded in to her face.
Oh,
where she kind of looks like it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that particular
thing,
but I mean, it's just like, I guess more for the audience because the person actually has not seen that.
And I mean, didn't you see the face too over the priest, like right before his eyes change color or something? And then he jumps out the window, and then does a barrel roll down the stairs.
Come to me.
Down the stairs you go. All right. He's dead, right? No.
You think he is.
Suckers.
But overall, I would say, what would you say about this Exorcist movie?
It's a cool movie. I think everybody should watch it at least once. I think
if you're a horror fan, I know some people.
I don't think it's scary. I don't think anybody nowadays would probably, unless you're a kid.
I think some people still think it's scary. No matter how much people might say, like, even if they're not religious or anything, like, the thing is, like, religion is so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
Even if someone who's not religious sees like this, I feel like they have two reactions. One, it's just silly, you know, and two, it still like resonates somewhat inside because like it's religion is considered like a sacred thing, and the girl is doing a lot of things with the crucifix, like pretty much the whole biblical aspect in the church and all that kind of stuff, like. It wasn't. I don't know if the church at the time was like against this type of movie.
I mean, it was around the time of the whole Satanic Panic stuff. No.
Well, it kind of helped with that too, because this was like the 70s. So I mean, like Satanic Panic kind of like stemmed a lot from this stuff. Because I mean, like nowadays with all the technology, like people don't have those kinds of like kids. I would say kids nowadays might find this movie boring.
Right.
That is until you get to the crucifix scene and all that kind of shit. But like the build up, most people want fast paced shit. That's why like they like a lot more like Pope's Exorcist. Yeah. And
folks have less of an attention span.
That's why you need like those quick beats like to hit on every mark to keep people's attention. Again, slow burn, no real music, like real subtle type of things to like really build the tension. You can't do that too much nowadays, but I mean, I feel like it still is effective with some people, personally speaking.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't speak for all fucking film watchers.
Why not? That's no fun.
One day I shall. My opinion will reign supreme.
Right. It's the only thing that matters is what I think, not what you think. Support me.
I would say overall, this is a very good movie.
Yeah.
Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, I mean, for lots of different reasons. Whether you are a horror fan
I would say
or
that,
not.
yeah, even just as a good film.
Yeah,
in general, it's really good.
The thrill, the suspense aspects of it, and again, like the way it's shot.
I would say
the way
this
it's scored.
is one of the first times, and I know this is a term I don't like, but I think it is true for this film. This is kind of one of those elevated horror movies, you know.
Yes.
Where it's not just shock and like gratuitous nudity, or it really is like strategic filmmaking and very artistic in a way. And that's why it's an overall good movie. Kind of like, let me see, what is the other type of films that are like just really good in general, even though they are horror movies? Like old ones.
Oh.
I would say like even like those like alien films, like Ridley Scott movies, like those are good.
Yes.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been actually really wanting to rewatch Aliens though.
Me too.
That's kind of my favorite.
But yeah, those are the kinds of films that like are just good, even though they are considered horror films. They're just good movies.
I was trying to find, because in 2010, this movie was entered in the register for, I believe, the Library of Congress.
See?
Yeah, and they did mention specifically their reasoning was that it was historically, relevant, important, notable.
Oh, there it is. Right there at the very beginning.
Oh, jeez.
It says The Exorcist had a significant influence on pop culture and several publications regarded as one of the greatest horror films ever made. I agree with that. In 2010, the Library of Congress selected the film for preservation in the United States National Film Registry as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. A sequel set 50 years later, Exorcist Believer, was released October 6, 2023.
Anyways, that's another video.
Those are the kind of movies that they should have just left as a one-off.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
But greedy-ass motherfuckers.
Of course. I mean,
decided to make Exorcist 2,
yeah,
which we're not going to talk about necessarily in this film, but I will mention that it's not good.
Everybody's rebuying franchises just to give them again. Didn't the Halloween franchise just go get picked up by MGM or Miramax?
Miramax. It's going to be a TV show, apparently. Or it could be. I don't know. It's just speculation.
Yeah.
Exorcist 2, we saw it. We reacted to it.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about it too much, but you can check it out probably up here somewhere if it's there. But it'll be linked down below at some point. William Friedkin, there's like a YouTube video of him like calling like a piece of shit, or someone called it a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, basically everybody. All of the previous and future directors in the Exorcist series have all dumped on.
Yeah, it wasn't a movie that initially the way they wrote it didn't turn out anything like they wanted.
It was basically a waste of good characters.
It was, and it put like Linda Blair at 17 years old in some kind of like a real awkward position with the actual priest character, who was also kind of uncomfortable, like where she was supposed to seduce him, but she was still kind of she was still a child at the time. And even Linda Blair, there's a whole interview which I'll link down below that talks about how much of a piece of shit the movie is too. It's like it's like a 20-minute. It's like a special feature in Exorcist 2, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to me, that's worth buying the movie itself just to get the special features if I got to pay for that. But so be it. But but at the end of the Exorcist film, Father Merrin gets possessed, pulls out Pazuzu, and chucks himself out the fucking window.
It's really funny.
And just rolls down. He's getting his last rites. And we, as audience members, we're just going to watch this only. He's dead.
Yep.
You got to be dead after that fucking.
You got
to be dead, right?
It was a long goddamn staircase. And I think they were like cement stairs too. So
they were.
If he's not dead, he's a goddamn vegetable. I mean.
Well, speaking of that, you would think he's dead. But on to Exorcist 3.
Right. The sequel, not sequel.
It's
we
not
just
sequel.
forget part 2 and just skip to 3.
Right. So
same characters, different actor.
Detective in the first one played by a different dude.
Right.
comes back in part 3, played by late great George C. Scott. He is Detective Karen or Kieran or look at the name right now. I always forget people's names. They're terrible fucking names. Kinderman, sorry. George C. Scott plays Lieutenant William Kinderman. He was the actual detective in the first one. He comes back and he is investigating a bunch of murders that are similar to a serial killer who had died, I think,
Gemini
like 15 years earlier. The Gemini killer.
Right.
And basically it leads up to where he goes into this, I guess, mental institution where there is a character called Patient X. They don't blatantly say that it's Father Marin.
Wait, not Marin.
Karen.
Uh,
Father Karras, sorry. Damien Karras, sorry. I think I mixed up those two, like whenever we were talking about the other one.
No worries.
But Jason Miller plays Patient X / Damien Karras, the priest from the first one who we thought was dead.
Right.
But he is allegedly possessed by the Gemini killer, who was played fantastically by Brad Dourif.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it before. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. And I hadn't really seen too many Brad Dourif flicks before, other than, like, I guess the last one I saw was The Lord of the Rings, where he plays
Did you not watch any of the Chucky movies?
This came out, I meant the last movie, all right? The Chucky movies were before then, right?
Right, yeah.
I meant, like, the most recent thing I'd seen him in.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, that's what I remember. And I was just like, holy shit, it's that guy. And I was like, fuck, that's awesome. He carries the movie. For me, like, once, the scenes come where you meet him, I was just like, shit, this is great. And he doesn't do anything fucking crazy. Like, it's all, like, in his face, like, and his inflection, his
monologue is
everything.
I could literally watch those monologues by themselves.
That shit
alone.
Was just, like, so
That's how good it
goddamn
is.
compelling.
That's how fucking good it is, right?
Yeah, it really was. And I was surprised, like, because I wasn't expecting something like that watching this. Like, I was bored.
Are you expecting the guy who played fucking Chucky to give the most intriguing and engaging monologue? And I'm not talking like 30 seconds. This goes on for minutes.
Yeah.
All right. And
it's pretty great.
You are still intrigued by just him acting.
Yeah. Dude.
All right.
Like, it was so fucking cool.
This is like one of those times whenever I'm kind of like amazed by someone's performance. Like whenever we saw Pig, and remember when Nicolas Cage is giving his like little monologues and stuff like that, I was intrigued by that.
Yes.
And this is probably
Same
better
thing.
or just as good than that.
Yeah. I thought it was so fucking cool.
He's very good.
He is very fucking
and it happens happens quite a bit. Like the movie's film's just better for it.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, a lot of the effects, the sort of that they use are not overt, or silly. It does get a little bit towards the end, where the fucking like the portal or the hole to hell or whatever opens up in the prison cell or whatever, and.
We see like the
aside from that,
the kid who was decapitated and his head was replaced by a statue of like Jesus Christ in blackface.
Yeah,
that's fucking wild.
That was okay.
It's fucking wild.
I liked another scene where the detective is he dreaming when he goes to like heaven and sees. Like he meets the little kid and what does he say? He's like, sorry.
Hey, sorry you got killed.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, it's okay.
He's like, hey. He goes, hey, I miss you. I'm sorry you got murdered.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah, there you go. And the kid's like, it's okay. I was like, holy shit.
The one thing I will say about this movie, the tone is very different.
Yeah.
Right? And it is written and directed by William Peter Blatty, the guy that actually wrote the first Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote a screenplay for this one, but then adapted it into the book Legion.
Oh.
But then he made the movie, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's obviously cinematography is different.
Mm-hmm.
Just his direction's different. But this movie has like a humorous tone in the relationship between Lieutenant Kinderman and the other priest, Flanders Joseph Dyer, who is his friend.
Oh, yeah.
Their interaction is like very subtle and like it's humorous, the way they play off each other and stuff like that. But George C. Scott is trying to sell the fuck out of this movie because, I mean, Brad Dourif does it purely by his dramatic.
his acting
role.
chops.
But at this point in his life, I don't know. I've never seen like Patton with George C. Scott, but like he is like, there's moments where he's just like, just that old man detective, just like really fucking selling the shit out of this.
Yeah.
But then again, you get those subtle scenarios where he's dreaming and he's like, hey kid, sorry you got murdered. And he's just like, no big deal. Like,
Yeah, and then you see all the other people around him
Fabio.
as well. Oh my gosh.
Fabio shows up.
That fucking shit. That was
Patrick
so great.
Ewing is just randomly in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that
fucking
was
weird.
him. I was remembering when you
Yeah.
asked me, I was like, what?
Yeah, that was
Is
so
that-
fucking weird.
And I think it was, I didn't quite
Like
recognize
Samuel L.
him.
Jackson, the blind dream man. That's what's him too. I was like,
wow.
that's fucking Samuel L. Jackson, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, look right there, Patrick Ewing
Yep.
as the Angel of Death.
Yeah,
he's the Angel of
I didn't
Death.
recognize him because I think you asked me like, is that Patrick Ewing? I was like, I don't really see him without a mustache.
Yeah,
but I was
it's
like,
just
that's him.
so strange.
It is.
That dream sequence is like wacky.
And those were all the people that were previously killed by the Gemini killer, right?
If they, a
some
lot of people
such-
were, but like if they had like their like neck seems like it was like reattached with stitches, like thick ass stitches.
Yeah.
Those people were killed by the Gemini killer.
Right.
But
okay.
I don't know if they were in heaven or like in some kind of like
Purgatory or whatever. some
waiting room, purgatory
waiting room.
slash. But I mean,
It did seem like a waiting room, right?
if I mean, you would
Like at a
never. I
hospital?
never would have guessed that Patrick Ewing was the Angel of Death.
No.
like, and that would have
dude,
never
like,
struck me just watching it.
What is that even like? What I want to know more about that because I don't understand this casting like at all.
That's why it seems funky. It seems wacky. like it doesn't make any sense.
Is, but like it's so cool. Like it's really interesting. I don't know.
That's why like this film, like when I saw it as a kid, like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really do much to me as like I just enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. Like,
But
to
it
me-
had like those various blasphemic type of like imagery with
Mm.
the
Oh.
the beginning of the film like has a nice like little dramatic opening where the wind busts open the church doors, the
Mm-hmm.
papers are flying around, and then you see like the crucifix with Jesus on it, his eyes open, and then it starts bleeding and stuff. You're just like, as a kid, as a Catholic at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just like, and you know what? I was all for it. You know, I was so cool with that. This one doesn't have as many classic scenes, but it has a classic scene that's kind of stood the test of time as one of the scariest moments in like film history.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it doesn't have the impact it normally would unless you were like, I guess, really paying attention to the movie and it was
Yeah.
the lights were off, it was dark, and it's
It's-
the first time you're watching
yeah.
it, and you have a really good sound system, and then, bam, it comes out at you. What's funny is because like as we were like watching this film, I mean, I've seen it plenty of times. Our mind is never like focused entirely on
No, it
things.
wanders so
We're
quick.
kind of wander, but
Like,
yeah,
I
we
mean,
can
I was
kind of-
on the other screen doing some other dumb shit. Sure.
But then I had to just go like, oh, this is the scene.
Yeah.
This is the scene right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
You
I
know?
was like, all right.
So we just stayed there and
And it was
watched it,
awesome.
and it's a slow, long shot. I think it cuts to like the close-ups of the nurse at some point,
Yes.
and it stays there. And then I think this is one of the only times where, I guess the sound design or the music kind of comes out at you, like because it's just silence to the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing really happening, and then the fucking thing comes out, and it looks weird. It just looks fucking weird. According to William Peter Blatty, a lot of the ending scene was not supposed to happen, but like the Exorcist, actual like the possession with the priest going up on the ceiling, and like,
Yeah.
that shit, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a cool scene. I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was supposed to be a little bit more subtle, like not so over the top. But of course, that's when production gets their little hands on.
Yeah.
We really would like a fucking Exorcist scene in there. Go, but this is not even an Exorcist movie.
So a portal to hell opens up in the floor. The priest floats up to the ceiling.
And also the kid that got decapitated with a Jesus head blackface on it, and just like, what?
Patrick Ewing is the angel of death.
You go, oh, I love Patrick. Yeah, we'll
Fuck
get him on.
is going on, man? There actually really is a lot of interesting dialogue between the detective and the Gemini killer kind of thing. They talk about how the priest gets possessed, like comes about getting possessed by this demon, or sorry, the soul of the killer reincarnated or whatever, or reinstalled. I don't fucking know. I mean, it was done as a punishment, right, for what they did to Reagan, basically. By taking the Pazuzu out of her, they were like, no, fuck you, and then like instead gave.
Well, yeah, because they said that he was like the perfect host because his mind was like gone. Already.
Right, his body and his mind were destroyed.
And if we're gonna take it as him being Damien Karras from the first one, he after that fall would really fuck up your brain, you know. So I would imagine as he got older, like he just lost pretty much everything because it was immediate, kind of like he was like wandering the streets and stuff like that. Like he was kind of like all lost.
Oh, okay.
So I think from my understanding, the Gemini killer pretty much possessed him, but it took how many years? Like 15 years.
Yeah, something
for
like
them
that.
to kind of like
for it to repair the damage.
Yeah,
that had been done. And until that time, like it was just trapped in his body, like you know, sleeping or whatever, biding his time.
Which I thought that was fun, not funny, but it was like interesting, kind of.
Yeah, it was very interesting details.
And again, all just Brad Dourif like delivering his monologue and telling us about the exposition of, and it's all very interesting because like all that little lore. I love that stuff. Because the patient X was pretty much just there, like with no real reaction, and then the reason Lieutenant Kinderman went to go see him was that he noticed that he became more lively recently, and that's when like the murders started happening. And of course, like all these little details from the Gemini killer were actually happening again, but it's the Gemini killer being able to like stay with Damien Karras as a host and just jump into other
like fallen kind of stuff.
Yeah, people, and that's where he can kind of like get those murders out and stuff like that.
Yeah. What did he say? That the elderly or the infirm are easy to manipulate or control or possess or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. When who does he possess? Is it the old lady or the? It
was the older woman. Yeah.
Older woman. Okay, yeah.
There's a scene where like she's crawling on the ceiling, which is kind of like when he's like, he's just there walking.
When the detective's walking towards the camera away, and you just sort of. I really like that. I remember seeing that. I was like, all right.
A scene with George C. Scott whenever he's like gonna get on the elevator, and there's a statue that supposedly was the removed head of Jesus Christ, and he doesn't see that. He just like is like so into his own head that he just walks by it, and it's like right fucking there, and no one has said anything. It's just fucking right there. Again, a lot of like funny little things. The way William Blatty like shoots this movie, but again, the ending was supposed to be different. It wasn't supposed to be as climactic with the exorcism. But I know there's like another version of this film out there, which I would like to see, like Blatty's version, director's cut, I guess. I don't know if that has the. Okay, there you go, director's cut. Okay, so the alternative opening in which Kinderman views the body of Karras in the morgue after his fall. Oh, CC. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, that is cool.
In the morgue after his fall down the stairs at the ending of the first movie, when Kinderman leaves the morgue, the heart monitor shows signs of life in the body. Oh, see that would have been interesting. Like,
I mean, all of these look fucking nifty.
The aftermath of the death scene of the first murdered priest, where his dead body is shown holding his severed head. Nice, while sitting. That would have been badass.
Yeah.
Longer version of the scene where Kinderman talks with the priest about the murders, and when a demon face is shown on the statue of the saint. Originally, the unseen intruder cuts the statue's head and places the knife in his hand. Man. And the exhumation of Damien Karras' body in Jesuit cemetery later to discover that the dead body is actually from Brother Fane, a Jesuit who was. See, that's why they at the end of the movie they show the tombstone of his dead body, because apparently like there's a scene where it was empty.
Oh, yeah, so
okay. Blatty's original cut did not have Jason Miller as Karras Patient X in it. It had a different isolation cell for scenes in which Kinderman talked to Patient X / the Gemini killer, and some promotional photos show Patient X and Kinderman talking to the original cell. So, from my understanding, like because Jason Miller wasn't available, they just shot the scenes with Brad Dourif.
Oh yeah.
And then whenever he was available, that's why they kind of like cut him in.
Yeah. You and I chatting about. You were telling me when we were watching. Yeah. So this movie reminded me a lot more of the first one than part 2. That's for sure. Like, I really liked the scene like where the nurse was just crawling on the wall as the detective was walking
it's just
towards
the patient.
the
It's not the nurse.
Oh, it's not. I thought it was. Okay, yeah, never mind.
She does dress as a patient later
yeah.
to kill like Kinderman's daughter.
Yeah, that's right. So I like that because that again, like that just reminded me more of the first Exorcist, where it's like the focus isn't necessarily on the possession, but it's there. You know, it's there in the forefront of your goddamn scene, but like you're watching something else kind of happen, and I like that. I don't know. It was just.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's not like he's just kind of there, and then you said like it's kind of in the background, and I think those scenes are done well. Like I've seen something like that in The Conjuring, the first Conjuring movie, and then also in like Hereditary. Whenever we have like the Toni Collette's like on the ceiling, but you don't see it.
Yeah,
like it's like in the shadow.
Yeah,
you can kind of see her in the corner, and we're not focused on that necessarily. We're focused on the person,
Yeah.
And that I think is more effective for scare wise because I mean, like as an audience member, you're focused here, but then you kind of like in the dark see something, and they don't see it.
It's like what's happening.
Yeah, so the audience knows what's going on, and you're kind of like that. I guess those are those moments where like turn around, look up,
yeah. You dumb bitch.
But one of the things about Exorcist 3 again, critics did not. This was kind of panned by critics and stuff like that. Of course, it doesn't have the same effect as the first one. But as far as the Resident, how it kind of like stayed with the culture, this was a funny one. I thought said the film became a focal point in the trial of Jeffrey Dahmer because apparently it was like one of his favorites.
Oh, of course, he has to fuck it up for.
I don't know if it was this one or the first one. Let me see. Hold on. The film became focal point in the trial of the killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Detectives testified that Dahmer claimed to identify with the Gemini killer and would play the film for some of his victims before killing them. Dahmer's final attempted victim, Tracy Edwards, testified that Dahmer would rock back and forth while chanting at various times and that he especially enjoyed the sequence with a possessed Karis. And Dahmer went so far as to purchase yellow contact lenses to more resemble Miller, as well as to emulate another film character he admired, Emperor Palpatine
from Return of the Jedi. God damn, what a fucking... So it's like Dahmer's a murder nerd, a murder weeb, fucking geek. Wow. I never knew that.
Oh, shit.
What a loser.
That's hilarious.
It is.
At this point, I guess I would say I would like to think that Jeffrey Dahmer fancied himself as much as an effective monologue deliverer prior to killing people as fucking Brad Dourif.
Yeah.
You can imagine that shit? Like he's trying to like really like drum up this whole thing. It's kind of like Charles Manson trying to be a songwriter.
It makes me think of the fucking like that South Park episode, like one of the earlier ones where that like serial killer kidnaps the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And it makes him watch like his, what is it? Like he's like, do you see? He's dressed up all weird, but he makes him watch like his, what is it? Home videos or some shit. I forgot. But like it was just dumb and silly, and that's kind of what this is making me think about. Like, it's just some weirdo trying to sound way more cooler than he actually is, and it's just like, what? You're killing me for what? For this? Fuck.
Yo, you're not Brad Dourif, bro. So don't even try.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
And
you're
you're just a fucking loser. And of course, we know what ended up with Dahmer.
I can't believe you make some watch the movie. Jesus Christ.
You can imagine. I mean, this is the last movie they see, and like before he ends up killing them and shit. What a dick, you know?
Man, like, that's really stupid. I don't know. I need to check the reference.
Can you imagine if Jeffrey Dahmer ended up seeing like the new
like the Barbie movie?
Well,
no,
like Return of the Sith or some shit.
Oh,
would he still have the same?
One of his favorite was like the Star Wars Christmas.
Would it be like the Sith Lord, like Palpatine? Would he still like fancy that as like one of his favorite characters?
Yeah, maybe.
You know, when he looks like a fucking like rotten sausage.
Yeah. Unlimited power. Yeah. What an idiot.
Yeah. So I would say like overall, Exorcist 3.
It's very enjoyable.
It's an enjoyable film.
It's a very enjoyable film.
Watch it for Brad Dourif alone.
Yes.
Even if like
you'll be happy.
If you're a fan of George C. Scott, watch it because he's great.
Yeah.
Brad Dourif is even better.
Yeah.
The movie does not have. If you're expecting to watch The Exorcist and then jump into this one, they're literally watching two different fucking movies.
Yeah.
The tone is different. It has more humor. Shot differently. Again, doesn't have that. It has a slow burn, but it has more. I think we mentioned the shots. What is it called? Whenever they're like in an angle and they're watching something like really tall.
Oh, those weird perspectives.
Yeah, it has different perspectives in this film.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not like it has a little bit of that film noir, kind of
right.
angle.
It seems like one of those classic Universal monster kind of things. When they see the castle for the first time, and it has that perspective.
Yeah.
And it's like the castle, and there's lightning.
And it's like
and
a
shit.
million miles tall.
Yeah,
and shit.
like it makes it look bigger than it
you
actually
feel like
is.
an ant. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think maybe that could have been the scenario whenever Blatty was directing for the first time. I think. I think there was something prior to this that he directed. I'm not too sure, but you can tell that this is like one of those. I don't know if he directed anything after this. Director, no,
Doesn't look like it.
The Ninth Configuration, Exorcist 3, two movies he did.
That's pretty much.
And that was it. That was the last film he did. But I mean, he has a certain style that you could tell like where he's drawing his inspiration from. I assume this is where he's drawing his inspiration from.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating here.
Yes.
But it's done well, specifically for like the first movie he directed was in 1980. Then 10 years later, he directed this one. I haven't seen the Ninth Configuration, but I mean, I'm kind of interested in checking it out. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've just never seen it.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious to see if like a lot of his style, he did that first in the Ninth Configuration and then kind of brought it over to Exorcist 3, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows? It's an enjoyable movie. Watch it, definitely. If you can see other versions, kind of like The Exorcist, the first one.
So, I didn't notice, but apparently, like you said there, it's got a pretty interesting name for it.
What?
Read the bottom there, man.
The Ninth Configuration is a 1980 American psychological drama film written, produced, and directed by William Peter Blatty. In his directorial debut, it is the second installment in Blatty's trilogy of faith after The Exorcist, and followed by The Exorcist.
Like
that's an interesting way to watch these if that's the case.
Yeah, for sure.
So that would have been his Exorcist 2?
I think so. And then
this would have been like Exorcist, Ninth Configuration, and then Legion. Would have been it because it's Exorcist 3.
Right.
But the book is titled Legion.
Yes.
So, that would have been a lot. It's kind of like
that's a lot more interesting. Yeah.
If you think of it like, what is it? The trilogy from John Carpenter.
Oh, the Apocalypse trilogy.
The Apocalypse trilogy. Yeah, that's what movie was the first one?
Oh fuck. Is it The Thing? No.
Is it The Thing? And then Prince of Darkness. And then vampires.
Shut the hell up. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness.
There we go. Yeah.
Fucking vampires.
Yes. That was it. You nailed it.
That's interesting. I would like to like rewatch it with that in mind.
Mm-hmm. I'd like
that's
to
the case.
as well. Yeah, we could marathon that shit.
But I would like to watch the Ninth Configuration if that's the case.
Cool. I like that. I like that. I had no idea. That's pretty interesting.
I'm a big fan of films that kind of tie into each other in some way.
Whether they're directly or loosely, kind of.
They have they have like a theme attached to it.
A spiritual successor kind of thing is what I think.
I mean, you have it like
as.
pretty like blatant whenever it comes to like sequels and stuff, or like even the Kevin Smith, the View Askew universe, where a lot of the characters tie into each other, like with Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma, all that kind of shit. They always reference people from prior films, and I mean, we have the detective from the first one. I'm kind of curious, does that detective kind of play a role in this one, like Kinderman?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, probably not by George C. Scott, but by somebody else.
Maybe.
Who knows? But we should definitely check it out.
Sounds cool to me.
Well, the Exorcist films, what do you think of them? I mean, we enjoy them.
Yeah.
Except for part 2.
Don't
even bother. Watch our reaction. That's the way you got to watch that movie. Watch our reaction, okay? We shorten it up for you, give you like the juicy parts, and our commentary is much worth the price of a sub and a like. You should try that.
Hey.
Free, or if you're listening to this podcast on any of our Spotify, Apple, all that kind of stuff, review it. Give us 5 stars. because we're very thorough in our discussions whenever we do our heavy research on Wikipedia and or IMDb. All right. Are we interviewing anyone for this? No. But we are giving you quality commentary and opinions from people who are kind of...
We are people of quality.
People of quality. These are opinions
us.
of quality is what they are.
You come to us for the good shit.
I mean, you're practically watching Siskel and Ebert
You
right
get
now.
nuts. Yeah.
You got the dynamic.
Unlike
just look at us.
the Siskel and Ebert of horror.
I mean, considering CineQuest video doesn't just focus on horror, we do talk a lot about horror.
Yeah.
Because it's one of our favorite genres.
A lot of cool shit.
Next thing you know, we're going to be doing straight comedies.
Right.
From the 80s. Nice.
Okay. That'd be fun.
I mean, we can talk about the awkwardness of Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh. Or like
Porkies.
Porkies or Screwballs or... Meatballs.
Yeah.
No, that's a different one. Meatballs and I think Screwballs was a different one too.
I think it is a different one, yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. And
horror movies kick ass. Comedies kick ass.
Yeah.
Action movies are awesome too. That's why we watch Steven Seagal movies too. And Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Unironically, I enjoy those movies. But I also understand they're trash.
Yeah.
And Steven Seagal is a horrible person.
Trash does not... Trash is welcome here, right? Doesn't mean we're not gonna we're gonna accept it for being bad. It is a bad film. We'll still watch it, and we'll acknowledge the fact that it's bad. These movies that we just talked about are not bad. No. You should definitely watch them because they're good. All that roundabout nonsense to say, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Anything else?
No, man. Check out Exorcist 3. It's great.
And Exorcist 1.
Also,
but not the second one.
No,
watch our reaction.
Right. We can't emphasize that enough.
Right. And if I plan this out properly, it'll be like one of the videos that are on the corner here. So check it out. That'll be it for us.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Laters.